Attorney General Jeff Sessions, he was also secretive and concealing about his own meetings with Russians and about his knowledge of other Trump campaign officials meeting with Russians. But the problem for Jeff Sessions is that, unlike Jared Kushner, he didn't just do it on a security clearance application. Jeff Sessions did it repeatedly under oath.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
That was under oath. Then Senator Jeff Sessions, during his confirmation hearings to become Attorney General, telling the Senate he didn't have communications with Russians during the campaign. It was later reported that Senator Sessions did have communications with Russians during the campaign. When that emerged in March, Senator Sessions at first continued to deny it. Then he admitted it while recusing himself from overseeing any Justice Department matters involving the campaign. But he still insisted that these meetings he did take with Russians that he'd forgotten about, he still insisted they weren't about the campaign.
Let me be clear. I never had meetings with Russian operatives or Russian intermediaries about the Trump campaign.
Senator Sessions later appeared before the Senate Intelligence Committee and whittled that denial down a little further, admitting, okay, he might have had conversations with Russians in which they did discuss the campaign, but when he was meeting with Russians and talking about the campaign with them, he wasn't talking about Russians interfering in the campaign.
I have never met with or had any conversation with any Russians or any foreign officials concerning any type of interference with any campaign or election in the United States. Further, I have no knowledge of any such conversations by anyone connected to the Trump campaign.
That, too, was under oath. Now, though, in the plea agreement just unsealed involving Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos, the government asserts, and Papadopoulos affirms that it's true, that not only did he, as part of the Trump campaign, have contacts with the Russian government while he was working for the campaign, those conversations really were about the Russians interfering in the campaign by collecting dirt on Hillary Clinton and obtaining thousands of emails. Papadopoulos further specifically asserts that in a meeting during the campaign, which is pictured here on the president's Instagram account, Papadopoulos told that national security meeting at which Trump was present, where it was a group that was being chaired by Jeff Sessions. Papadopoulos says he told that meeting that day that he was in contact with the Russian government and was in a petition to link the Trump campaign up with the Putin government, including for high-level meetings. The Attorney General was there for that meeting, clearly. You can see him on the left side of your screen. Sources close to Jeff Sessions today told NBC News that Papadopoulos did raise that issue of engaging with Russia at that meeting with Jeff Sessions there, but nevertheless, repeatedly, under oath, including just a couple of weeks ago, Sessions insisted that nothing like that ever happened. He never heard of it happening, and it certainly didn't involve him.
Was that what you're saying, that you don't believe that surrogates from the Trump campaign had communications with the Russians? Is that what you're saying?
I did not, and I'm not aware of anyone else that did. And I don't believe it happened. But
and you don't believe it now?
I don't believe it happened.
So
whatever you think of the estimable power of the United States Congress, and specifically the United States Senate, whatever you think of how they're doing their jobs right now, the Senate does confirm people for major jobs in any administration, and that means they get people under oath answering questions, and that means they get those people back to answer further questions when they need to. Senator Al Franken sent Attorney General Jeff Sessions an 8-page letter today demanding that he explain a, quote, alarming pattern in which you, the nation's top law enforcement officer, apparently failed to tell the truth under oath about the Trump team's contact with agents of Russia.